Hello, everyone. We are back with our portfolio review session. Today, we have Stefan Hampel and Yann Dupont joining us as guest speakers. We will be going over 10 people who submitted their entries for us to review. If you do want to have your entries reviewed, make sure to join the Discord server and follow the request to upload your files. And then we will do new portfolio review sessions. And Stefan, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
Sure. So I'm Stefan. I'm 28 years old. I'm a senior generalist for ILM in Vancouver. And I'm doing that for 3 years now, like the whole visual effects story. So, yeah. That's it.
Awesome. That's it. Nothing more.
Yeah.
Well, you can look up his ArtStation, and he's doing epic environment work on the side. He's doing lots of tutorials as well, or breakdowns especially. Have a look. It's really awesome. And then we have Yann, who is an ex-colleague of mine. Why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Hey, so I'm Yann Dupont. I'm 45 years old. So I spent more than 20 years being a lighter. And went up the ladder as a CG supervisor, which I found too difficult, so I stepped back, and I'm now working in the video game industry as, I don't know how to describe it, lead artist. Everything you see on Twitter, Facebook, which is marketing, is made by me.
Pretty cool. Well, thanks. First of all, thank you for taking the time on a Easter Friday to join us for this. It's really appreciated. So the format today will be, as last time, we will be going over 10 artists. They submitted their portfolios or their web entries, and we give them feedback about it. Mainly, Stefan is an environment artist, so he can probably talk more about scene creation and composition and stuff like that. And Yann and myself, we're probably more experienced in the lighting, look dev, and a little bit of compositing fields. So that's what we're trying to do. 6 minutes per person to get 1 hour. And then, let's get going. So we will be starting with Adam here, his lighting TD showreel, which is perfect because we all do lighting as well as Stefan. So let's hit play and have a look. It's nice and eerie already. I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
The destroyed cabin was very beautiful.
Yeah. Nice effect stuff. Oh, he did that. He did everything. Nice one. Oh, it's a one-man soldier here.
He's a true generalist.
Yes. I wonder why that's one thing I will say already. It's not a lighting.
Yeah.
It's
true.
It's a generalist reel.
Yeah.
All right, software. Very familiar, I guess. All right, let's have a look. So opening shots, lighting, shading, textures, brick wall. I think, just looking at, actually, it's a nice transition to go into the window. The blur. It's probably a little bit late, isn't it?
I can't even see it. Is it the compression? Maybe, yeah.
It happens here. You can see it's getting blurry here.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's pretty crisp, and then it kind of fades into this.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice touch. It should just happen a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Or is it just...
I think that's something also what happens in movies usually. When they do this kind of transition to make it more obvious that you're going through a window, they do like this blurry effects right when you hit the window, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It should kind of happen. You can see the cameras are already behind the screen, behind the glass. It should kind of happen right here and not here. But yeah, it's definitely a cool way to start your reel. It's like it kind of brings you into the shot, and then you kind of really look at it. It's nice. Probably the one thing I would say about this, it feels very clean and CG, the text. I think the rest is pretty good, but it's just the text is so...
Even the wall is a bit strange. The grout between the bricks feel extremely thick, and usually it's not a rule, but I tend to see the grout being carved in, not pouring out the brick. So it's obviously catching light in a funny way. Maybe the bump is correct. It's just hitting my eyes incorrectly.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Can we go back? Oh, I can do it also? Oh, I think
you can.
When you have these kind of signs, I would expect it to be like, let's say the sign is there for like 5 years or so. I would expect to have like some dirt accumulating in areas like this here. It doesn't have to be crazy, but just some dirt, like it's staying back behind the letters, maybe some leakage here and there, just to break it a bit up more,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the plastic should have some wear and tear as well. I mean, whatever material it is, because here it feels like it has been set to white, and nothing is white in reality. It should be at best 20% gray.
Yeah, I agree on that for sure. We got to keep moving.
Oh yeah, okay. We don't have time, right? Okay.
Yeah. Let's look at the next. I think there's nothing much to say about this shot. I think the lighting really shows what we need to look at. It's like obviously the hands and the person here. So I guess writing a letter to that. So I think it's compositionally wise, lighting wise, it's done really well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, this one is fantastic.
One here.
Yeah, this one is really good, really, really good shot.
I guess is it the same setting, right? I'm not sure what this really is, but is that part of this shot? Might be.
No, I don't think so. It looks quite different, no? It's not the same one, is it?
Okay. Thought they are kind of tied together. Okay, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of this shot here. It's too clean. You can guess the tile being made of repetitive texture. Same for the wood. The breakup seems to be more in the modeling than the shading and texture. So it's very lacking here. And that's unfortunate because the mood is pretty cool. But visually it looks extremely simple.
Yeah, agree.
I think also if there's so much stuff already kind of broken and missing, this should probably be 20 years old in the forest, and I agree there should be so much dirt and moss and breakup, and there should be missing roof tiles and everything to sell it. Right now it might have just been a FX demo or something, but
I think so indeed, because as a modeling, every plank of wood should feel unique, have its own bow, curvature, wearing. It's really lacking that. Right?
Yeah, agreed.
Well, I'm not experienced in FX. What do you think, Arvid? Is it complex setup?
Neither am I. It's not really complicated, honestly. What he did, it's you fracture the pieces with a preset wood fracture, and then you have a force pulling this there. I think this is the more complicated thing, is getting the rope around it. But it's I think there's lacking dust and elements coming up, and dust when it's cracking, and all of that is pretty much missing. So it's just essentially a wood fracture for now.
Yeah, having some debris and dust would really help tying things together.
Yeah. Okay, we gotta move a little bit. Sorry, my timers keep going. All right.
I really like this piece here. Artistically, it feels like out of a horror movie when you don't know why those students are possessed and looking at this house like something bad is happening inside. And the lighting is glorious, so there is this dissonance between what's happening and what you see. I find it horrific and beautiful at the same time. It's very, very cool.
Maybe it's just me, but I think the light wrap is a bit too strong. I mean, it's supposed to have that dreamy look maybe, but I feel like it's too strong a tad. No?
Yeah, I agree, but I think he didn't do it. He didn't do the comp looking at what he did.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, okay.
But I agree.
Yeah,
So in
Maybe I
terms of
should look.
lighting, you have a point. You have a good point, Stefan. In fact, it's not that the sky is white. Maybe the foreground is the shadow is still too lifted, and so introducing a bit of exposure contrast would help.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I like these kind of, they almost look like game engines. It's kind of nice. Like Sherlock Holmes style.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of makes sense. Yeah, I was just looking at it. Is it maybe too bright when it fractures? It's like the only thing, I think realistically, the eye would kind of expose to this environment or the camera. Let's put it like the camera. And then when it gets super bright, it's fine that it blows out, I think.
But in terms of,
it should readjust.
Yeah.
Can you pause, Arvid? What bothers me is like the contrast is happening here. And this is exactly where your eyes is drawn and exactly where the lack of detail is. The fracture, if it was more complex, the shot would be very like a success, I think. But my eyes is drawn to where it's lacking detail, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
and I think also that this light should contribute to the fracture pieces to shape them a little. It's just black, right? And the same, like these pieces, they are already like 2 meters or a meter away from the wall, and they should be hit by the interior light hitting them. So there should be a really strong rim on these guys, and maybe here as well.
Yeah. I think also the overall the FX, it feels a bit low res, no? Like you can see all these, or can you scrub when it breaks a bit later, Arvid? A bit later. Like, that's fine, stop. Okay, like everything looks like super easy, like simple, you know, like these shapes, it's like triangles and blocky, very blocky, you know? So I would expect it to have more like, let's say this is like the large scale debris, then you have like medium scale, and then you also need to have like smaller pieces. So right now we always, we only have like big pieces, but I would expect to have like maybe something like this, and maybe something more round pieces, and then also a lot of like smaller single individual pieces. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, go ahead, Yann.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Stefan have a very good point, and just to help people listening to us right now, when I do an image, I'm trying to approaching with a level of detail. And as my rule is like, I should not consider it done if I didn't reach at least 3 levels of detail. So you break first a brick into 2, you might have a triangle, then inside you had 1 level of complexity, another one and another one. And ideally, the brain is cheated when you reach 7 levels of complexity, which is impossible. That's way too much. If you keep as a rule of 3 levels of complexity like this, trying to go down the fractal, you know, a fractal like, I have 1 big triangle, I had 1, and I had 1 inside. You have a very good, solid foundation. In terms of narrative, the shot is good. Sorry, go ahead.
One thing to add is if you look at references, which I'm not sure he followed FX reference much, if you shatter a brick wall, there's so much dust kicked up by this. So there should just be some kind of plume as well, just passing over or something like that. Otherwise,
if the camera was passing through the dust, it would look awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Route some lighting, shading, layout.
Okay, so this is awesome. The first thinking I had was, I wish the torch were illuminating the ground and the character, so it would creating dancing shadow on the floor, and it would be visually stunning.
Yeah. True. Agree.
I didn't even realize. I agree. Yeah. Oh, there's something maybe here on this guy. I'm not sure if that's just...
Yeah, so maybe the fall-off is too short, and maybe that's physically realistic, but then you need to cheat it, because it would be really very interesting to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It would be nice. Even if you just see like the faces illuminated slightly.
Yeah.
And maybe, as you said, the shadow on the ground, yeah.
That being said, the balance of intensity of sky and moon is very well done. I always have difficulty to lit night shot, and here he found he fine-tuned the balance pretty well here. I like it.
Yeah, and then one thing is based on the modeling. All the models feel a little bit simple, and also the geo and the textures, I mean, it feels like it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 copies of the same building, maybe rotate and scale differences, but otherwise it's a copy.
Okay, I just noticed something. Despite the fact that the shot looks good, I have the feeling that the moon is just behind the frame of the camera. The intensity, it's like a point light with a fall off. See what I mean? It's like in movies, in TV series, when you can clearly guess that they put a light behind the tree for the moon. It really have this feeling there is no moon at the foreground here, and maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
there's
I'm
a
wrong,
very
actually.
soft shadow here.
Yeah,
there's a soft shadow. I think it's just probably a little bit too soft, but I think there is a shadow here.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you're right. Yeah. But yeah, the moon should be sharp as well as the sun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's foggy like this and it gets haze up, but technically it's a hard shadow. And then the final, I think he did a nice job in pulling you into his reel and then pulling you out of the reel.
True.
Ultra shots. So it has a nice touch to it.
That being
I want to
said,
say one thing.
It's too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stefan.
Who goes first? Me? Okay. I want to say one thing about the forest here, because it feels like you had only like 2-3 models, but in a real forest you would have so many variations, and maybe because it also looks like you have the same leaf shader for all trees instead of having some trees that are a bit lighter, a bit darker, maybe some are more desaturated or more saturated, adding a bit more variation model wise as well as texture wise.
I agree. Especially in this, it feels like it's a late summer setting. I don't know why, but it feels like it. Is there snow on here? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you would definitely see more variations in trees. I totally agree. And I'm not sure what this is. Is that
the crowd?
A dead forest?
I think that's
the
crowd,
problem.
No?
The mountain. Yeah, you must be right. I think it's a crowd. The mountain looks awesome. The trees look awesome, but there is a definite lack of variation, as Stefan pointed out. Those trees and rooftop and crowd have only one gray shader, which look extremely simple and difficult to read. And I wish to help with the variation, a little bit more cloud to break up on the trees. You know, when you see like at such distance, sometimes you can see the shadow of a cloud on the ground, and it's beautiful. Yeah. That would really help, because finally the most interesting piece to me is the mountain in terms of realism. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Like he's kind of shadowing the trees with the mountain, but and the sky is pretty clear, so there's just these streaks here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it probably would be nice if maybe the sides are broken up a little bit.
You can, if it's a directional light, you can always put a noise inside, and it doesn't have to be a real cloud definite, but a little bit of breakup always had something, right?
Yeah, agree.
Also,
right, we probably did 12 minutes or more on him now, so we gotta.
Can I say one last thing? I want to say one last thing because I can't unsee it. There is this very harsh line between forest and mountain. I would maybe add or have the forest fade out more, because there's no way this is like just ending all of a sudden, Like let's say you have some individual trees here and there so it looks a bit more natural fading out, but rather than having a cut of like foreground and then background, So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. That's the last thing. We can go. Continue.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's continue.
Yes.
Here we have Adele Kenzai, Environment Art Reel.
Tailored
nice.
For you, Stefan. That's perfect. Let's see.
Okay, let's see.
Cool. I love these kind of shots. Nice aerial wide shots.
Well, is that still the breakdown for that same? Or is that a different one? Oh, we just go through it once. But there should be a little bit more light on it. Oh, nice. Ivy. I always like Ivy. I don't know why.
Last of Us feeling.
Man, it's so compressed, huh? It's such a bad quality in terms of the streaming, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Obviously, the guy love large scale.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, that's very interesting.
It's cool work for sure.
Yep.
Right,
okay, out of the box, there is something I would like to mention. I have the feeling that everything has been done with the same software. It has this very crisp, saturated look. I don't know. It makes me feel like, I don't know if you guys know this software, Vue d'Esprit. It's like, it's a whole way of generating mountain and forest, and every render were a bit looking the same. And I have the feeling that all shots here belong to the same crisp green environment.
Yeah.
Something is.
It looks like Clarice to me. Like Clarice has a unique.
There's something
look.
very vivid to it.
Yeah, I agree. But then again, I think this feels more like Houdini's kind of viewport shading. This one.
Clarice has a very similar one, but it could be Houdini. I don't know, but whatever. That doesn't really matter.
But it's probably, Jonatan also says it might be Clarice.
So, out of the box, if I had to give an advice to somebody like that, is obviously very good at populating a scene. That seems to be a strength here, is having fun doing that. I would pause on that and work on look dev. It's very complex, but there is absolutely no photorealism. So if he study an image a bit more simple, copy it and see what's missing, that's where he needs to study. So that I don't know if I was clear, but basically what I love to do is taking a picture, doing exactly the same in 3D, and I see what I'm missing. And filling the gap is where you learn. That's the best advice I can give to him.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. And I also think it's overdone with the comp treatment. Like this feels way too overdone. And for me, this looks a lot more realistic, the blue kind of feel to it. And then I agree with you, the look dev, the city feels like it's just cubes. It's most probably is just cubes with some texture on it. It just feels a little bit simple. And the same as Stefan said on the previous reel, there's no much variation going on in the trees. It's all the same.
The scale is odd as well, because you look at the tree, look very small, then the building are gigantic in comparison of the trees, and then the mountains are not that tall in comparison of the building. So there is a full scale which is broken as well. And that's why I really think that trying to copy a picture forces you into know what the eyes understand as realistic.
Yeah. I think when you approach a project like this, you want to establish the look as close as possible to the final one in 3D, and you don't want to change the look completely in comp. Like when you have like this natural bluish lighting that looks like it could have been shot on a drone, and then you make it all of a sudden look like it's like afternoon, like dawn or whatever. That doesn't work, because your lighting is showing one thing and the grading shows another. So that's like contradictive, I would say. Yeah, there is something that people not working in the VFX industry don't realize, maybe, is we do a lot in comp, but the maximum we can do, which has been done in comp as a fast iteration, we try to report it back in the lighting as much as we can. So we give something cleaner to the compositor to build on, and not to stretch the pixel to something they were not in the first place.
Yeah.
Also a tip, because I also like to do these large scale environments. When you go back, Arvid, to the first shot again, because it applies to all the other shots. I know, like, let's say you have a brick texture, right? And you project it onto like something like this, and it's in true scale. It might look right, or it's physically it's accurate, but it doesn't work. What I like to do is I cheat the scaling and textures. So let's say I'm using a brick wall texture, but I'm scaling it up a bit more. Like, let's not say like brick. I'm not talking about this one, but more like larger features. So there's like larger dirt patches, for example. And this way you can achieve more detail. Let's say there's like a larger patch of dirt. That would be technically wrong, but it works in the shot. So I would recommend like looking into the textures, and maybe you need to adjust the scaling of some textures in order to achieve more detail. You know what I'm trying to say? I hope not. I hope so.
Yeah. I agree. A similar thing is like, is that supposed to be windows? And then why don't we see these huge windows on the same buildings? Because windows have a standard size. They should all be similar, which they're clearly not. So there's definitely a scale issue in the texture end for sure. I agree.
Yeah. Otherwise, the modeling is just too simple. Here you can actually see it here in this one. It's just cubes with a texture projected, but I don't think it holds up on this when the camera is that close.
Interesting, yeah.
It doesn't.
I really like that one because having a large, simple geometry, I mean, sorry, I don't like it that much, but like in comparison of the previous shot, it really draws the eye somewhere to look at. There is something a bit more simple. It's not just complexity thrown at your face. So this is more pleasing. There is something happening on the left with the right sun, on the right with the curves. That's very pleasing, actually.
Yeah. I wish he would have rendered this camera and not just have a 2D zoom in here. It kind of defeats the whole shot to me.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you can see the parallax is just not there. It's just a zoom in. But I guess render resources, right? That's not everyone has
a render farm,
computer, I guess.
Private render farm. Yeah.
But it's still, like you managed it as well to do it. So I think if you have to render for a week, I think it's worth it to not just present a static image like this. But
oh, you know what? In a demo reel, don't show that you had a nice camera movement. Because you finally, it's like you show the recipe, but you won't get to taste it.
Yeah, it's the same with this one as well. Same note, like nice camera movement, and then we just get a final still image.
Also, shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't it be the final image and then the breakdown? Maybe? Because
yeah, maybe. There's no rules, I think. I think it's also nice to get the anticipation up so you can see, okay, let's see the final image. And then boom, and then I'm a little bit. Yeah, I would love to see the camera motion. Because visually it looks nice. I would like to see the lights reflecting off the surface when the camera pans up and down and all of that.
So this image with the broken car, a bit abandoned city, feels like post-apocalyptic. You know what would tie the image all together is using occlusion-based shader to populate a bit of moss somewhere or dirt, something, because element feels a bit disconnected, like almost if you photoshopped it. I know it's not, but there is this lack of cohesion, of dust falling on all the objects at the same time, rust and...
Yeah.
But it's pretty good otherwise. I'm good.
But now looking a little bit more in detail about all these shots, they are pretty much done all the same way. Like we're giving the same notes, like you can see again, it's probably just very simple geo here. Textures projected. I'm not sure why he did. I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure what this is. Why do we see this whole planet and then?
I think this is supposed to be the planet in this one. It's like the first show the viewport and then the rendered image again. I think he did it the whole show here, so I guess that's the point.
Yeah.
Well, we should recommend the person to maybe don't put shot like those two of the Earth if it's not selling either a story or a technicality that, wow, I want to hire the guy if he can do atmosphere like that around Earth or something is special. I'm not sure this is why I would hire a guy based on what I'm seeing here. So everything which is not useful should just be off the demo reel.
Yeah, I think lots of people are also struggling to create content, so they try to fill it in. And you can clearly see that he didn't have the time or the render to actually render the final images. So I think it's easier to get viewport renders and animations in just to have something. Because I think what he's trying to do is he's showing us he can do it, like all of it, but he probably just doesn't have the resources to render them.
No.
At least that's what I get the impression of.
And we all went there, when you try to make it happen and put something for a minute, and if you spend a week on it, you think it deserves to be seen. So, but it's very difficult to edit down, but it's beneficial. Like, it's a cliche we heard a million times, but you prefer watching 20 seconds of quality than 1 minute to bore you down. Not saying that your working is boring. I don't mean to be harsh, but trying to just give the best of yourself.
Yeah, no, that's fair. This shot feels completely out of scale to me, weirdly. Like the depth of field is kind of ruining it, I think.
Yeah. And there are some issues when it comes to the terrain. I feel like this is like super simple. This looks like it's just almost like perfectly straight. But where are like these elements that we talked about earlier in the other reel, like the big, like we have the big scale details and we have the medium scale, so and the small scale. So I think we lack something like, so we have the big details here, like the mountains, right? I think we are lacking some medium scale rocks, maybe like this size, and then like some smaller rocks accumulating around it. So and it's also about like building these micro compositions, you know, like for example here, let's say we have like a little rock, and then we have like some smaller rocks, and maybe there's also like a little antenna or something, you know, like building these little scenes of and making it more alive. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think the shot could have kind of cut off here, honestly, with the ship as well. But I think all of this is not contributing to it much.
Also, composition-wise, it would help the image, because let's say we cut off here, we have like this nice rule of thirds thingy, you know, like we have the we have the horizon here in the upper third, which would make it more pleasing. This placement is good because we have it in the left third here. That's a good position.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Let's keep going. Then
sorry, Arvid, I know you want to go fast. Just to come back to what you were saying, what's the depth of field is working against something else. It's like there is a haze. So if there is haze, it's big scale. You cannot have depth of field. So again, it's about reproducing something that your eyes have seen before, and this your eyes never seen it because it's impossible, and that breaks the credibility of the image, the fact that you believe in.
Yeah, I think it works well for these shots, I believe. I'm not sure. I don't know what the scale here is. It could be like a person is like this tiny, but to me it feels like this is the foot of a person and that's the leg. Like it feels to me this is the scale because of the depth of field, but it's hard to say. Like it seems like there's buildings here maybe. I don't know what this is maybe.
So I don't know what I'm looking at and the complexity of it, but it's not unpleasant at all. It's actually a beautiful image. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it looks great. I'm guessing specularity in the rocks who look a bit white in the morning. That's beautiful as well. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, let's just quickly browse. We don't have time. We gotta go to the next one.
Yeah, but maybe one last thing. I would remove this piece before that.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't. Like I probably would remove both because I don't feel they both fit in.
Agree. Yeah,
and
it doesn't. You
can see there's a simple color gradient from this color to this color. Like there's no. It's a fade. That's not how it works. It's like patches of colors, and trees are completely in a different color and they kind of scatter, but it's not that a tree higher up fades into fades into a different color. Just something I noticed.
Yeah.
Anyways, similar notes, I think as before, there's a 2D pan, would be nice to get it rendered. But I think this one is probably more successful than the others in terms of scattering detail. You can see there's small detail. The birds are a little bit big, but I think it's nice. And a couple of other shots in here.
But it's pretty well balanced. It's a good looking shot. Yeah.
So next up is he's got another reel.
A grooming reel. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, he gets a lot of attention. We need to just probably hurry up a little bit.
Okay.
Let's just focus on the grooming. No one of us is a groomer, but we all have seen bears recently. Yann has one seen last night.
I've seen one last night, and I work on the Revenant, so I'm a specialist.
Yeah, okay. Well, that
it's actually pretty good. It's one last thing is a bit clean. So having clump of dirt, like because it gets wet and the hair gets dried up, clumping all together. Adding here and there, closer to the feet would really help, because you have the feeling that you went to the mud, and walk in a wet environment. Yeah. So it's a little bit out of the studio, has been just cleaned up.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, I'm not sure exactly. It feels like it's like the paint, the length map he used to get it. It's a little bit obvious that it's kind of here. And the clumps, I agree, especially around the mouth. Normally or typically, they drool a lot, and there's lots of clumped hair, which is wet and similar under the bellies where they walk through water or mud. And I agree, there should maybe be dust collected and maybe bigger chunks towards the legs and also the chest where things get together. It's more successful here, the clumping, but it's not so visible in the render. Maybe things changed in the render as well.
That being said, I really do think his groom skills are there. Like, it is very good. I've seen a lot worse in shows on TV or in theater.
Yeah, what he did here, I would probably not recommend to do it in your reel. Using a feature character from a high-end movie where everyone knows how the close-ups look, you will always compare it to those characters, and it's close, but the grooming, like I could pull it up, but I don't want to do that. But it's not. It doesn't look as it's supposed to be, like a chimpanzee, or I'm not sure what these apes are called. Is it chimpanzees? I don't know.
I don't know which one it is. Also, the red makeup doesn't work. Either it's powder and it shouldn't be bump. It's just part of the level of the skin. Or if it's a thicker paint, it should have bring the hair with it. You should have clumped the hair with the paint. So, yeah, I agree with David. Maybe this one, it's a very difficult one. So it shows the gap with what we've seen.
Yeah, I don't want to be harsh as well, but if I pull up the original asset, why isn't the shit so small? It just shows the amount of detail there should be in the clumps and in the hair. Yeah. Right? It's obviously not full screen. That's just what I meant. It's nice to do it to learn. But if you want to apply for a grooming position and you present this, you will most probably be criticized if you are not a lot closer to what Weta did, I think, if you want to work for these companies. Again, I think this is more successful. I think maybe the shading is not ideal or the thickness or something, because I think the clumping works a lot better here. Okay, chicken. Feather system, that I don't know if this should be in here. I think it pulls down.
I don't know how a chicken is made, but here I see every card. If I know they are not card, I don't think they are card, but I don't think it should have such a shadow onto each feather. I have the feeling I'm looking at an occlusion pass of it, so it's not working.
Oh, it might just be that, honestly.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's just missing. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the little beaver. Is it a beaver? Probably. Otter.
Otter, yeah.
Yeah. Again, very similar note to what Yann said with the bear, especially otters. They live in the water a lot, and there should just be lots of clumping and mud here. I think the fur is actually a lot longer.
Yeah,
and
you just need to attract the eyes to, you don't have to put the level of detail everywhere on the model. If, like, for example, here it's perfect. He did the head, just had I don't know, if it was the bear, I would say, put a pine needle stuck between two hair that attract my eyes, and I would think that the level of detail is there. That's what we did on The Revenant. We were adding here and there a little pine needle, making sure that every shot has it, so you believe in it instantly.
Oh, great. All right, let's keep going. Now we have another Alexandria Cuadiano, and he submitted, I would guess, 20 entries. They are all modeling entries, so I'm not super familiar with modeling, but I can just speak about the overall feeling I get, I guess. Alt right. Let's just click through them quick. So lots of, it looks like the
CPU fans, right?
That's funny.
It's probably what his reference is.
No.
Oh, is that a movie? Oh, it is a turntable. Okay, we got it's just a single turntable.
I'm no specialist, but the topology looks very clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very awesome.
True.
I like the lighting.
Go ahead, Yann.
I was just going to say that it's easy to see the model. It's very simple lighting. It works very well. It's really selling what it's trying to sell. Whether it's good or not, it's working well. It's showing the model.
Well, I think it's a modeling submission, right? We should not be judging shading or lighting. I still feel there's a couple of things which are detailed quite well, but then others like the detail here with the edge creases is nice and tight, but then others are very subtle and soft. And especially underneath here, I think the pistons, there should be more detail, like potentially hydraulic wires or, cables going and connecting, just to make it more interesting, because it feels like, especially this piece is very simple. And then the leg as well. It's just, I think, too simple, where you get this nice detail.
I wonder if here you're supposed, where it connects, are you supposed to have either a ridge, like it's two different pieces which has been assembled, or maybe some welding would be nice, something to tell you it's not a one piece, because this actually could work against him.
Like the paneling, I totally agree. There should definitely be welding spots or these, what's it called? Rivets, right?
Rivets, anything to say it's two pieces originally,
Yeah, that would be add a really nice touch. And if you present something for modeling, I would like to see your UV layouts. That is very important. That's what the modeler needs to do as well, as doing UVs, because it could be nice, but let's say you need to texture it, right? Like what you don't know how they look.
Well, would you show an image which does the texture? You know what I mean? The UDIM texture applied, and that's enough, or you really want to see the UV layout?
I would like to see the layout, like how he's splitting things up, like the UDIM tiles.
Both, yeah.
Probably both.
Yeah, I
both
would agree.
is, I think, quite helpful.
Fair enough.
I like the level of detail in the rear, for sure. But then, it's very similar to what Yann said. I would like to see more paneling on the surfaces.
Maybe especially on the wings.
I've seen something not working at all. Can you come back an image?
Yes. This one?
Those fans are... No, this. Okay, those, if they're supposed to rotate, that's not going to work because they are not circular.
True.
So you need to revisit that by making just not blade, something else, so you don't have to change the shape. If it has to be blade, it has to be pure circle.
Good point. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That makes totally sense.
I think overall, to summarize, I think it lacks details in some spots. Maybe an easy way to get details. So I don't know what your references were, but what always works is having like panels especially on the wings, like something like this. So you just see a bit more, I don't know, maybe some more complex shapes. You know what I mean? Something like this.
I think he
and we would do that in model, right?
Here.
Yeah.
You would not do that in texture. You would do it in the 3D model, correct?
For sure, yeah.
So you can. He has rivets here.
Yeah.
but it's just that one panel. It should definitely be.
There should be more. Yeah. And also maybe some additional layer of like overlapping or so. I don't know. Yeah.
So if it's a mid-distance to camera 3D model, then it's awesome. To this level of zoom we definitely need a new step of complexity in my rules of level.
True.
And one thing is, and if you just think about a manufacturing standpoint, it feels like he has so many different material thicknesses. There's like, look at, why does this have to be this thick? This is so thin. And then the bevels are also like, why is this so round? And then this again is so sharp. Like in manufacturing ways, it would not be like that. Everything would have the same kind of edges, right? And it's like here, that's super round again. And then the higher the detail, the tighter the things are. It's to me, it's a little bit off.
Okay, you have such a good point that if I was to shade that, I would shade it as a Lego. Because then it would justify why some pieces are a bit more cubical and simple. While if it's in real life, you're right. The metal, you would not shape it that way. Like,
yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely, again, for a mid-ground asset which flies in the distance, it's totally fine. It's just, I think we're so used to working on these high-end shows where we see these ships close up. There's just so much level of detail, especially if you work for ILM or other companies. They have insanely talented modelers and supervisors. They give feedback on things, and then it goes through texture rounds and look depth rounds, and it's definitely not comparable, but we are just used to looking at these things, I guess.
Yep.
All right. So Carlos Villas has, let's see, also a couple, but I think it's all stills. I'll just flick through them. I probably need to move them over because our webcams are covering them. All right. So it looks very stylized 2D art. It's like a combination of Photoshop and 3D, I guess.
Did he say what he did? Like render background elements, or is this pure Photoshop? I'm not sure what we're looking at.
Yeah,
he didn't. I don't know.
Pretty sure it's entirely Photoshop and a bit of knowledge of 3D when it needs an element. And
it could already be also AI art, like because you can separate, you can create masks in Photoshop and say, okay, replace this with something else in AI. So it could also be that. It's just a little bit hard to say. That's definitely, I would say, 3D with paint over. And then someone just posted his art station.
That's a very personal opinion, but I have a problem with this kind of art because they all look like it has been posing for a magazine. And I'm looking at action. I'm looking what the guy was doing 2 seconds ago, what he's doing right now, and what he's aiming at. I feel like I'm catching a picture, a story, a moment of an action. And so finally, if it's just the cover of a little book or a magazine, it's less interesting because there is no story behind.
To me, it looks like he's a concept artist, honestly, because these creatures or the detail could be a concept for a CG character at some point. Like imagine, Yann, when we were working on Jungle Cruise, where we had all these creatures, and we got very similar 2D artwork from the art department.
Yeah, you're very right. I didn't include that one. I was thinking about the previous one, which looked very highly photoshopped. This one is very concept art. You're right, and I was thinking about those ones. But that's very personal opinion. I'm always having the feeling that they are just very still, very fixed, and I don't imagine. I don't know what's the action here. Are the fingers always here? Are they going out? Like just a bit of motion blur on it would tell me what's going on. So yeah, it feels frozen.
Yeah, and things like that feels a little bit like two separate things to me. Like it seems like it's almost a photo of the face and then cut in, like copy and paste it into the environment. Oops, I didn't know I can do that. Yeah, it's hard for me to also give notes on this. It's the same reason. I don't really know what the idea is with this. Right?
The wings look like Midjourney here. I don't know.
Yeah,
looks like AI.
I get that feeling too. Like there's lots of, I think, AI art in this, in all of these a little.
Yeah, true.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it starts with AI and there's a little bit of paint over. But here I can see some lasso cut out, made in Photoshop. So it's definitely a lot of Photoshop around the hand. The hand are totally added.
Yeah.
So
also just, I'm not even sure if he did this. Like, is that a photo and then he adjusted
maybe
things,
the red point.
or did he actually?
Yeah. So actually, you know what? So if the guy intention is to come with concept art because he's very creative and he wants to come with a universe, that's pretty cool. You should pursue and put together a character which seems to belong to the same universe. So you can really show that those are not accidents, that he let things happen as, like you start drawing and you discover what you do. It should be more intentional, show that he can do a crew within this specific world and sell that. It would show some maturity in the portfolio, because here everything is very disconnected.
I still have the impression he's trying to be a kind of concept artist, just showing his ideas, and the style is very dark and cruel, and then he's got these more pretty ones like that. I don't know. I think we should not really judge the techniques he's using. I think it's just what he's trying to show us, I believe, is what he's trying to do. Because you could also see that the head is not really in the center. It feels like it's kind of off to the side a little, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So it's more of a creative portfolio.
That's what I'm guessing, yeah. But I can tell you that I could probably not do this kind of style.
No.
I wouldn't even know where to start. It's just...
Okay.
Isn't this Charlize Theron from Mad Max?
No, but it looks like it, but that's not her. There is something very the almost shaved head, it's very similar, yeah.
And didn't they have this as well in the movie? Like the black paint?
Yeah, something like this, yeah.
Okay. I probably need to rewatch it. Anyways,
don't
then we have Gonzalo, which is hard for me. Like, he just submitted this, a screenshot of his art station, and I'm a little bit annoyed or frustrated with people doing this because we want to give feedback and then they send us a screenshot. Like, where's the effort in submitting things, right? I just want to put it out there. If you would have uploaded these images, I think we would have talked about them, but just doing this is for me not acceptable. I think that is a little bit too lazy. And if you want to apply for a job, you will not send a screenshot of your art station to people reviewing it. I think I just wanted to say that. So
true.
Okay, and for that reason, I'm happy to skip this.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have a CG showreel from Greg McKechnie. Wow, it's a hard name. Sorry for that. McKechnie. Anyways, let's have a look. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Personal project, all aspects. Okay, let's just first play it and then we can look at it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's played and then CG. It's a nice stylized cartoon look here.
It reminds me of Love, Death and Robots for some reason. Like, it could be a character of the show.
It's definitely a famous actor. I don't know who, but...
Metallic, shiny.
Okay, I have something to say about this tank.
You want to start with the tank? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So it's not working at all for one reason. I really love what's done, but it looked like he found it and he cleaned it in real life, So he removed all the dust, all the dirt, and so it exposed the metal and the rust. If it's that rusty, the specularity hasn't been, and the roughness map hasn't been affected here. It's very, very clean. So something in the shader is not working at all.
Also, is this supposed to be a game asset or a film asset? Because the topology tells me it's a game asset. It's triangulated, right? Never mind.
It's not triangulated, but it's very low poly.
Yeah,
it's extremely low poly somehow.
Yeah, true.
But the spec map and roughness map should be very different and had in dust and mud maybe, because it really looked like something 50 years old but clean.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's too clean. And one thing which I noticed, he actually has these welding points, which is nice, which we could have seen in the other one, but that's just texture based. What I'm noticing is wherever he textured this, it seems like he's got like a curvature map, which is always the same on every edge. You can see it's like maybe 2 centimeters away from every edge, and then it's broken up like that. It's a little bit of a giveaway of the texturing side.
Can you see bump?
And yes, I could see. Yeah, here's a little bit going on, I believe.
Okay. So the frequency of the bump seems very large, and it's lacking the micro detail, which could act as a rough map,
Yeah.
I love to think of bump as 3 frequency, like large, medium, and very small. And it could be also 3 different maps that you combine together in your shader. And it's lacking the small frequency, the higher one.
Yeah. I think what would probably make this work a lot better is similar things you said, Yann, is first creating maybe even displacements, just break the silhouette a little, like have some panels, because it's so old, some panels would probably be bent a little, there would be a little bit more damage. And then especially here, these things go to water, mud all the time. There should be a huge layer of grime and dust everywhere, which is not there. And then here in the edges, there should be grease, oil, like tanks, they go through a hard time in combat. So it's yeah, I agree. It looks like it's pressure cleaned. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Shot 1. I had a hard time to see what he did, because he said he did everything, and
CG Roman.
No, I was more going the opposite. The only thing which I found was CG was the helmets, and the rest kind of worked to me.
Yeah, it looks.
And I saw this, and it's actually full CG except the plate, except the singer here.
It's pretty awesome. I have one problem with the helmet. I think the ping of the highlight is a bit strong. So it makes the image a little busy. So they could be either they're too strong, or the white, the rest of the body, it's not shiny enough, but it's kind of unbalanced. But overall, the shot looks very, very well made.
Yeah. It's good that you put it first, because it's definitely the best work from this reel. Yeah.
Agree. Just one thing to note, I thought the same thing, Yann, but then while you said it, I was looking at the microphone, and it has a very similar touch to the helmets. It's maybe more anisotropic, and the specular seems to be kind of stretched like a cross, because it's anisotropic material. So it could have. I agree. It's the reflection is maybe a tad too strong, but it's not too far off from the real element up there.
Then would you say that the white part of the body is a little bit too rough and should have a tighter spec? Just to balance, because here I'm seeing like this is all I see is that if you pause, sorry, it's like boom, boom, boom. It really catch my eyes. I see nothing else than this, because they are the brightest point of the image. So it's just like 12, I don't know, like 8 to 10 white spots. Yeah. We need to find a way to break it up.
Agree. I think a lot of breakup could have been done in bump map and also roughness maps. Like white, all helmets are very clean. There could be some which may be dented because they fell down or whatever, right? There could just be a little bit more work to it. But again, this is really good shot.
Yeah, it's movie quality.
Really like
seriously, it's fantastic job.
Yeah.
You know what's especially very, very well shaded and textured? Can you go back? These things. To me, this looks 100% plate. This is 100% plate. This is plate. Like, and also the thing in the background, whatever it is, looks super good. Yeah, everything looks super good.
That's what I thought too. It's just a nice one.
Yeah.
And the compositing, she doesn't feel off. She it's really tied together.
No.
Edge work could be a little. I have the feeling her edge is a little. It could a little dispel and a little tighter. It's a bit blurry, maybe.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Okay, this guy.
It's fantastic.
I don't know. Famous. I'm not sure if he's an actor or whatever. I don't recognize, but it looks cool.
Yeah. I think he's a clothes designer, no? Like fashion designer. Something like this.
David Lynch.
Thank you.
Oh, shit.
Oh, okay.
I still don't know him anyways. But a couple of things to say, a couple of things to add, just from look dev point of view and probably a little bit of grooming. To me, the subsurface scattering is a tad too waxy. Like there's no, the skin feels it feels like almost illuminated from within, where you get, there's no definition much. It's like, I'm looking here. It's very, very scattery and it feels very soft. And I think it, especially with older people, their skin is more, I would put it, more used, more exposed to sun. And you would see almost, it should feel like more like a leather instead. And then another thing I noticed, the beard, from the grooming perspective, they are too thin. Like if you ask me, the stubbles should be thicker. It feels like a very sheenish, soft, velvety touch if I would touch his face. And I would expect them to be thicker, the same as the hair. They're just a tad too thin.
Yeah, that's fine.
Too fuzzy.
Yeah, my first impression was also that he was lacking a little bit of spec. But I wonder if actually, to your point, Arvid, if you lower the size of the SSS, maybe the spec will show up a little bit more because you introduce more diffuse, so it's less lifted maybe. But a bit of shine here and there would help.
Especially if you see it in the eyes, you would expect that reflection to be more on the waterline here, and then probably on the side of the head where you have more the flat areas that should reflect that light a little bit better. Probably here on the lips a little bit, but I agree, it could be a little bit more specky. Oops.
But very good. Like the modeling is obviously it's spot on. And
oops. Oh, sorry, I skipped to the next one. Yeah, modeling.
Look at that.
It's still nice. Yeah, it's still good. I was just like, these things just stood out to me. The button could have been modeled. I just realized that.
Is it a texture?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting.
It looks very flat.
True. Well.
Okay, and now helicopter action. Concept by Mark Sonwell. Personal project, all aspects.
There is something very similar animal about it.
Yeah, like yes.
Insect, like
Libelle. Like a Libelle in German.
Yeah.
So it's a dragonfly.
Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that works. Okay, if it's the intention, well done, because I really thought about an insect straight away.
Yeah.
It's pretty stylized, so I don't really have an opinion about what's supposed to be like an artistic decision.
Yeah.
But I would say very similar notes to the tank as well. It kind of feels clean. cleaned, but it's used. Like you can see all the scratches here from flying. But I would, again, especially where we have these engine parts, like exhausts, turbines, there would be grease and dirt, and from heat there should be like discolorization on these things. I'm not sure.
Also here, right?
Yeah, what that is exactly.
It looks like...
Yes.
I don't know. What I think this could be the weapons, no? Like some like bombs or something. Like they drop it off because they're like
it looks like that for sure. Yeah. Again, yeah, maybe it's because I think modeling wise it's nice. It definitely has all the model detail I would be looking for. It's just the texture feels a little bit too simple. Like a little bit more of this on some of these areas would be nice, I think.
Yeah. Again, I really have the feeling that there is no breakup in the specular map. All the work is done in the diffuse and not much in the spec and roughness.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Now looking at it, I'm actually looking for breakups, but I don't see any. It's the same uniform reflection here. There's no broad bump, as you said, Yann. There's always 3 levels of bump as well. One is the broad one, which gives the surface like this big wobbliness, and then there's a little bit higher frequency, and then there is the micro bumps, which all of them are kind of not there.
Yeah, and nowadays micro bump could just go in roughness. It's a choice, I believe. What do you think, Arvid?
Yeah, there's definitely split decisions about this. I would always say the bump should drive the specular breakups if you have the ability to do these maps, and the roughness maps itself should ideally just be for material differences like oil or paint or something like that, and then you break them up with bump maps. That's just how I like to work.
So as true to life as possible, right? Because roughness is a cheat of bump, right? So you just try to be true to life. Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Yes. Okay, I thought someone would say something. We have a generalist look dev and texturing reel by Anastasia Matusevsky. Wow. Sorry for that as well.
Matuszewski, huh?
But Matuszewski, yeah, that's probably better.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Let's have a play. Tamagotchi. Who knows these things, so. Stefan probably doesn't.
I do. I actually do. I'm not that young.
Okay.
Oh, this is Simon Stalenhag vibes.
Okay. Tools used. Unreal. After Effects.
Okay.
Here we go again.
Out of the box like this, it's the most interesting and high quality portfolio we've seen so far, to my opinion, at least. So,
there's good detail all over. Yeah,
all the textures they have detail, but not too much. Like it looks always like spot on. Like detail wise, it's very, very high quality.
Group project. Also a nice story here. Yeah. Like it.
This is fantastic. I'm not even sure what is CG and if it's everything.
I think it's everything. Let's go one by one. Let's go. Oh, we already
But texturing of car layout, look dev lighting. Okay. Oh, sorry. I went back. I just wanted to see texturing of car layout, look dev and lighting. Okay.
So if I may say on this one, the first thing I would do is reduce all the bump by half. And
agree.
in terms of
Agree.
final touch, I would desaturate at least 20%. And just the image would have a major improvement in 5 minutes doing those two things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agree.
One thing layout-wise, this probably has been here for 20 years or whatever. I would expect more growth around things. Like there's a little bit here on that front wheel, but there should be lots of grass going on the sides here, maybe even, some ivy around this. So it should be more engulfed by nature. I think that would also help a little bit.
I think she did it because we want to look at the car. So I think she wanted to show the car, right? Maybe that's why? The car textures?
Yeah.
But I agree.
You can still show the car.
Yeah, I agree. On that, It's a she,
maybe
right?
Just a little bit, maybe.
Was it Anastasia?
She, yes.
Anastasia?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
In terms of lighting, I really appreciate that some object or like in the light, some gobos has been placed. So there is something out of the frame. The wall is complex in the lighting. And this just has so much to it.
Agree. This one looks flawless to me. This looks 100% photoreal. Like the thing
especially this.
It's well made when you can feel when you touch it, if you know what it is,
Yeah.
Because I'm not that young, Arvid.
One thing to say about this is I would like to see the front of it and not have it fade in, and then I have no time to look at it. Then I look at the back and then it fades out again. That's just one thing. I would probably like to see a proper turntable. But yeah, lovely detail on the rear. Like she's got the big bump, the fine bump, and the micro details in here. It's really, really well made.
Yeah.
Nothing to add then. Yeah.
True.
Okay, here, this one has a problem. I think so. The little pump of the perfume bottom lid seems to be passing through the table.
I thought exactly the same. Otherwise, I couldn't see anything. Otherwise, it's really nice.
Yeah. The piece of cloth behind the pump is a bit unfortunate as well as the lip texture is too perfect.
I think something which could add to a shot like this is to actually add photo elements to it. So why don't you take a picture of a handkerchief or whatever and place it there as like to tie in CG with realism? I think that would really help to mess up our heads that what is real and what is not. So it's pretty otherwise good.
And all the dirt at the foreground on the table, which is fantastic. If we could have that behind the mirror, because you can see that suddenly she said it's behind, I don't care. And it's very clean just behind the mirror.
Oh, here, yeah.
Here and on the left as well in the shade.
Yeah.
But it's very, very, very good.
Maybe one thing to say, if I can just speak about experience, if our mirrors of the house would look like this, I would be in trouble.
Especially because of this, huh? Because that's suddenly not Tina's.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at this level of detail in my red square. You can guess, I don't know, like something like water drops, which has been clumping the dust or some sort. It's very thin detailed, not flown at your face. It's fantastic.
Yep.
Ice generator. Okay. I think it's about procedural modeling, I guess.
These things?
I think so. She did everything except the statue, so
it's also
she added the ice
texturing. Okay. If you look at here, she textured the model, and then there's like this little ice layer on top. I think that's also what she did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, I see it now. It has also flat ice, not just stalactite.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a layer.
I think it's covered in. Yeah.
I like something that you should be sensitive to, Arvid, is like here, there is a different density in the middle. It's a little bit like broken up inside, more impurity. I don't know what it made it whiter.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Roughness map, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Very
transmission roughness.
Yeah, I buy this.
Again, it's a. Yeah, I agree. Right, last shot. No, second last.
All aspects. Okay.
I think it's a nice composition. Like I think we're looking at the right things, and then these two are nicely composed, I believe. Two things I noticed: it feels like it's almost transparent, that thing, because of the clouds are in front. I don't know if it might just be the scale, but it's to me a little bit odd. And then the motion of the grass feels like a game engine wind effect or something.
Yeah. It looks like a noise.
Is not.
Go ahead, Jan.
Sorry?
The composition is not bad. I agree with you, Arvid, but it could be refined. For example, you could divide the image in like a perfect 3/3, like this, 3 parts, which are equally divided. A little bit like my painting behind. It's one of some of the rules. And in terms of 3/3, I don't think they're perfectly aligned. So this guy could be a bit more on the left. Would you agree, Stefan? I know you mentioned the rule of third in the previous picture.
Yeah, totally. And I also either bring the house closer so we see the rooftop a bit more in the real third, because I think it's a bit too low. But then again, I think here it works because we are supposed to look at this thing, right? And it's in the top.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it works. But I agree with him moving a bit more to the left.
It's not too far. It's just moving here and there, 10 pixels.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I agree. And maybe, I don't know, did she do the compositing? No. I feel like it lacks a bit of light wrap in this one. Like, I would expect a bit more like glow around the tree lines here, and here maybe. But maybe that's just me, I don't know.
Yeah. Probably a little could be added.
Maybe even here, I don't know.
In terms of narrative, do you guys see or understand something? I'm lacking to understand if it's peaceful or a threat, or you know what I mean? It's interesting sci-fi element, but I have difficulty to read a story, and I don't know if I should be threatened or horrified, or because it looks very peaceful somehow.
Yeah.
Well, it's up to you to interpret it, I guess. Like, I think that's the plan of this. You can make up what you want about this, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's keep going. Last shot. It's not much to say. It's good.
All aspects except rock acid backplate. What is Roosevelt? Is it this thing? Or like these things, right?
That's
okay.
And the top and bottom.
So she did what, the sand and that's about it. The glass and the sand.
I think this one, the lighting and the compositing, as far as I understand it. Like, I think this is backplate probably. Like this, I can't draw. So this one is probably the backplate, which she brought together on comp, like everything. Yeah.
No. And then the sim on the sand grains, I guess.
Yeah.
It's nice. I think it's a nice placement again. Like this is where it's supposed to be, I guess. The sun would be nicer over there. Like you get nicer lighting.
Oh yeah.
And
also maybe
the rocks and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a very good point. I don't know how I feel about the cylinders. They are too simple and they have dirty texture on it. So they distract me a bit, those 3 cylinders, to be honest. It could be either carved to look like... Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They
stand out color-wise too,
no? The glass shader, the top part with the noise, is very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a subject to them, yeah. I think if the sun would just be here, I think it would resolve a lot of visual interest. I think then we get we would get a nice edge on here, and I think that would really help.
Yeah, comp
Yeah,
maybe
she
adds.
could make the. Go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, when we do this, like coming like the sun here, and we would get some nice pinks in the middle here, and when it looks defocused, these pinks, they always add like a lot of realism, I think. Let's say you add like this lens dirt for these glints, and it always looks way more photoreal already. You know what I mean? No,
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, if you angle the sun differently, so it hits the rocks, as you mentioned, you would make the shader of the rocks a bit wet, and you have a lot of new pinks again of sun. They do that in every single movie and TV series. You always throw a bucket of water on the floor, and suddenly the floor is very interesting looking because it has reflection. It's the cheat of every DOP around. So it's lacking that here.
Okay, next.
Oh, I've seen this movie.
I haven't.
It's sad.
Someone pause it?
It's a sad movie.
Yeah. Is it loading? No.
Oh, that's just it. I think is it just that? I'm not sure if it's...
Can you go to the beginning? To the very first frame? It just starts with the shot? Okay.
Looks like... But there's more in the thumbnail. Let me see if I can pull it up locally quick.
Yeah.
In the meantime, have a look at this guy.
Okay.
Chicho.
Wow, look at that.
It's also just... Is it stuck? Let's see if it goes through.
That's very good.
Oh, this one is... Yeah, I like it.
I never seen something like this. It's so colorful.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah. I love the animations. It's nice.
Oh,
like, what is
wow.
that creature doing with the eyes? It's so cool.
It looks like the
Everything
spaghetti
is
monster.
perfect. Yeah. The water scene was not too good, but oh my god, it's beautiful.
It's also quite long, the reel.
I love the cartoon look. Like the cell shading.
Is that a single person doing this? Or is it's a really cool reel? Like, I would hire it for sure.
Pixar, Disney animation.
And the comp work is nice. It's really pulls out the details. The noise.
I was looking at the noise as well.
Works.
Look at that. That's
There's
so,
even
okay.
the color scripts.
Actually, it really looked like the concept art from Pixar. They have an artist doing exactly this look. That's a fantastic demo reel.
Oh, it's really good. Oh, I know that room.
Yeah.
Wait, is it the one given by NVIDIA?
No, but there's some asset floating around, and everyone uses this for lighting training. I think it's a very powerful reel. It feels like the further we go along, the less the quality, like the lower the quality.
Yep. Agree.
I would remove the bedroom at the end.
Yes, I would remove that too. And I don't know. I'm not super sure about these close-ups. They are not at the same level as this stuff, right? Because this is really amazing. Lighting, rendering, comp, awesome work. Ocean shading, lighting, rendering, comp.
Yeah, I
it's
need
kind
to
of a
find
vibe
that
of
movie.
What's the
Deep Sea.
Moana? It kind of looks like Moana style.
Well, look at the hair, the wet hair seam. It's
Well, that's not what he did. Yeah, he just did lighting rendering on this.
No, yeah. But the overall production seems to be extremely high quality, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. Gel, good work.
Yep.
I kind of like this one, even though it's like a kind of 2.5D. It's really nice. Somehow.
And
I would love to see some
steam, some hot steam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And actually, if you remove the last shot, this one is a nice way to hand the demo reel. By the moon, it's a strong silhouette, a very strong image. So.
Yeah, I agree. I would just remove this and it would be nice. Yeah, totally.
Maybe you should say why he or she should remove it.
I think it's just overall lacking in the quality of the rest of the reel. Right?
Yeah.
It feels just too simple. Like, and then you get these what is it, lens effects, which are very odd.
Yeah, that could be very personal, but the fact that you guys recognize the 3D scene, I'm not a big fan of it, because what it tells me is like you don't have enough professional experience, so you bring something not stolen, but like downloaded, from the web.
Yes,
and
I agree.
And the quality is not the same. Yeah,
I agree. I
don't know about the last point, because you need to start somewhere, and if you get free assets with free textures and shaders and you just want to do lighting exercises, I think it's fair enough to use that and have it in your reel.
Yeah, there is a detail in the description. It mentioned aces, and I kind of like that actually, because it's so central to nowadays production, and barely 10% of the artists knows what it is. The fact that somebody can bring a little bit of like, hey, I did it at home, so you need to install the color profile, set up all your software. It's not a minor thing to know how to set up that. I like that actually.
Yeah. Just to add to that, it's easy to add a logo and say you did it in Aces, right? But I agree.
No,
if it's done properly, yes, there's some technical aspects to it to get it working properly. I agree. All right, then we have this again. Why is it not loading? I just got this as a submission again. I probably similar to what I said before. At least he submitted his CV, but he didn't do anything what we can really review. So maybe next time, just submit the work you worked on, like this stuff. You did apparently work on companies. Add that to your reel and present that instead of your CV. And then we've got this one, which is a New York. Is it the famous bridge? No, it's not New York. Manhattan. Oh, it's downtown New York, I guess, is Manhattan, isn't it?
I don't know.
From Zenya.
Yeah, I've seen this on a Discord server already. It's cool.
Okay, there is something interesting. When you switch to the image, it kind of downloads the low res of it, a bit more blurry before giving me the full crisp.
Yes.
And I kind of prefer the blurry one. I think it's almost too... The snow, for example, the bump on the snow feel way too crisp.
I just have a slight concern about the noise. The grain is a tad too strong.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Everything is very crisp, whether it's bump or noise or a pixel edge, like the contrast on edges. Like here, like it's extremely sharp. The snow is extremely sharp. And somehow it tells us that it's in the fog. So we should embrace a little bit more diffusion overall.
Yeah.
There is, I don't know if it's a mistake, but there is 2 white points here.
Is that lamps?
Let's check the play. It's lens. Okay.
My bad. Okay.
Yeah, but there's a common problem with the lamps. Can I say something about it, Yann, really quick? About the lamps? Okay. So I think it's easy to just apply a light material to these spheres, but this is not how it would work in real life. I would expect this sphere to be glass, and inside you have like a light. So you actually get like a hot core in the middle, and then it like you have a fall off, because this looks like it's just pure white, like everything is bright, but that's not realistic at all. So yeah, and also I'm not sure if you would get this kind of brightness when you will shoot at night and everything is like super dark, and then you have these bright spots. Yes, but here, since everything is like in daylight and it's like super bright, like there's snow everywhere, which gives a lot of fill or bounce light, I mean, then this wouldn't be that bright. You would see more like a hot core in the middle. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Even if it was well made. No, I had nothing to add to what I was saying previously, but even if it was made the way you just described it, well made, I still think it's useless. It's distracting from the overall composition. So
true, yeah.
But otherwise, it's one of those compositions which are based on like a huge X, which I really like usually, and that's working very well here. So
totally,
perspective.
Yeah,
like this. It's what's it called? 1 point perspective.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So it's essentially this.
It's always very pleasing to do that, and because it drives your composition, it's.
Yeah. But I still have to say, just looking at the clay, Zenya, I'm not sure male or female, but I think it's female, right? Did a great job in photorealism on
for sure
on the snow and just at the lower part. I think this works super nice. Like it's really well made.
I think though, I don't know if you said it already, Arvid, but this moment, it doesn't work for me. It looks very low res. It looks like a big scale, and then instead of having like multiple. Oh, help! What's this placement? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just looking. It's just texture, I think. Yeah. So.
Or not even
probably should have been subdivided more.
Yeah. Or maybe break it up more, like add a high frequency noise on top, like something similar like here.
Yeah.
So you think it's displaced or something added in Photoshop at the end?
Yeah, could also be.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Also, the character here could be a little bit more lifted. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Okay, maybe I'm nitpicking here. But overall, we've been criticizing it a lot, but we can say it's a beautiful image.
Yeah, it's super high quality.
I don't want to send the wrong message to the artist. Actually, I think we're spending time criticizing, but it's very beautiful, well-made image.
Yeah.
I just looking at it, to me, depending where this person stands, but it's just as high as the mirror of a car. If we can say he's kind of in the same height.
Yeah.
It's probably scale-wise a little bit too small.
Should be like this, eh? Or a bit.
Yeah.
A bit.
And that's the first comment I gave. Can you resume on the soldier? That's the first comment I gave, that the entire image looked very crisp. When you zoom on it, I see it even more. I would blur it 1 pixel, like something to add to the diffusion, the fog, the cold. The lens will actually do that anyway.
All right, let's look at the last one. Maybe this loads now. I had to re-upload it. Seems like it's loading now. I would love to know what the person did on it.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Is it in the naming maybe of the file, like compositing reel or lighting reel or something?
It has to be either animation or lighting or compositing.
Oh, it's animation reel.
Animation. Okay.
Very motion. There's no pause. But And that is from Nabeel Ahmed.
Okay.
Nice corgi. Lovely characters. I like the characters.
Oh, and I like this animation. Because I was going to say, like, I'm not an animator, so I'm very bad at criticizing animation. But those cartoon characters that I see on LinkedIn, ArtStation all the time, I have the feeling it's always looking the same. It's very Disney. It has... Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but it's lacking personality. I have the feeling if it was the same artist who did all those animations I always have seen presenting rig and things like that, I would not be surprised. It's very American, it's very Disney. And the one with the cowboy actually break that. I really like there is more personality to it.
And I think these are old productions. Maybe this is personal work, but the others are obviously old productions where they had an anim supervisor or VFX supervisor who all gave lots of notes on them. And I think the last couple here are personal ones, which is nice to see the person's animation style. Again, this is production work, personal work. Yeah. Personal work, probably. Production. Ooh. Nice explosion.
Yeah, it's a nice last shot. It's good to finish with that, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much it sells the animation quality, but it's a nice way to finish.
It's definitely a great way to open the reel because looking at this, it just caught my attention all the way, like 100%.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure how, it's an animation reel, but mixing anim and VFX, I'm not sure how I feel about that because it's two completely different styles of animating.
Yeah.
Like the first and last shot. It seems like the person potentially wants to work in VFX, but then just had animation gigs for now, maybe.
I mean, the first shot is a fairly recent movie. It was out on Netflix, I think, or Apple Plus last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Stefan, do you remember?
Yeah, it was last year.
Year old, so I think he made his way to the VFX industry. That's good for him.
Yeah, nice.
That being said, can I criticize the shader on the first shot, Arvid? The cloth part here, it feels like it's texture and not modeled, the wrinkles. It bothers me. It feels so fake.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's like if I was putting a texture of a paper that I've wrinkled, it would look like that, instead of really modeling the paper.
All right. I think that concludes it. We have a couple of questions still, which we can answer if you have the time, Yann and Stefan.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So there was one question from Eva Fries. Never in my life I have made a reel. How do you even do it? And more importantly, what's the difference between a demo reel, show reel, etc.? Never understood it. So never bothered doing it. Who wants to explain that?
I can start and you guys correct me. First, I'm not sure there is a difference in the term between show reel and demo reel. So don't you worry too much. The point of doing it is very simple. It's what you're going to send to a potential employer. So it has to sell your skills. So if you're a modeler, make sure that it's written. So people looking at what you will put, your artwork all gathered in one video or a suite of image, has to be very clear that what you did is the modeling. You could also mention which software you've been using. So the only point is potentially to find a job or to find client if you're a freelance.
Yes.
Yeah. And the question about how to do it is essentially a collection of all the work you had done before. If it's personal projects, let's say you created some character, that could be part of your reel. So you create maybe a nice animation about it or a camera movement, you render that, and then it's part of your reel. And then you create your next person project, and then you stack all these projects together, or you work for someone and you can ask if you can use the material in your reel, and then you try to collect them up. And a tip I can give you, having reviewed a lot of portfolios from other people, is you should only ever put your best work in it that represents yourself. Do not have things which you did in your first year project or whatever, which is just there as a filler. Try to always get rid of old stuff, not the same quality stuff, and always fill it up with newer and more accurate work. And I would also say, do not try to extend or go over 2 minutes. I think 1 minute 30 is the sweet spot for show reels, because that is roughly the attention span people would have looking at it.
But also maybe it's...
If I may add... Go ahead, Stefan. Your turn.
I would say it's not mandatory to have a show reel per se. I think it's also fine to have just like an ArtStation profile with all your stuff. You don't need to have your stuff in video form, because I don't even have it when I got hired from ILM. It's totally enough to have an ArtStation profile, and you can apply with that. You don't have to do a video, so you don't have to do animated shots.
But if two people apply and one sends me a URL with the ArtStation link and the other one submits a reel, I would probably favor the one with the reel, just because there's more effort put into the work. And
True.
The other one is just it's a little bit lazy to apply to a company with a URL, I think. But that could just be my personal preference as well.
But what if you would you even put a reel together with just still images? Because let's say you don't have a render farm, then you just put still images, like a dia show.
Yes, you can do subtle movements in it or something. I think it's a little bit more interesting than just I don't know.
I'm thinking about the technical issue for the reviewer, to the point of Arvid, is if somebody like an HR is preparing all the videos to be watched by artist which is going to give their opinion, shall we employ or not this person, you don't want to have 6 videos and one you stop and you go on the web to find the ArtStation of the guy.
That's true, yeah.
So at least this help for the presentation.
Yeah.
And what I was going to add earlier was, don't be afraid and to show your demo reel to your friend, to other artists, even to family. It's fine, and you have to accept if they say it doesn't belong to the video. You have to accept the critique on that. Don't do it on your own and send it to employer. Like, make a round of having the eyes on it of other people and accept the critique and change your demo reel.
Yeah.
Right. I think that sums it up, and we are way over time. So again, thanks for all the submissions. And if you want to submit your work being reviewed, follow us or me on social media and join the Discord server. The link is in the description below to submit your reels. And again, thank you, Stefan and Yann, to actually take your time and be here for 2 hours and reviewing work. I really appreciate it. All right, that's it then. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day. Happy Easter, and enjoy your long weekend.
Peace out.
Bye-bye. Peace out.
Stop the recording.